This is going to be a very short explanation of what Sudoku is. Sudoku is not math, it's just a puzzle, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to play this game. I am going to start with an easy puzzle. So even though these are numbers, you don't add anything together. The goal is to get one number, 1 through 9, in each block. And then, of course, each line horizontal and each line vertical. And I always like to start with 1. 1 is number 1 number. So you pick a block that has the number 1 or the number that you're looking for. So for a line, which covers the box is 2, you follow this down and you say, okay, does any other box in that line or in the box next to it have the same number you're looking for? Yes. This one does not have a 1, but you look at the surrounding boxes. So this one has a 1. This one does not have a 1. So you know that this can't have another 1. This one has a 1, so this can't have another 1. You follow the lines down. If you follow this line down, you follow this line down. So this line can't have a 1, so you can't use those 2 boxes. This line can't have a 1. And when you look here, there is not another 1 here. So when you cross, that line's already taken up anyway, so it leaves these 2 lines. Well, you can't simply fill in which one it is without actually guessing, but you don't want to guess, because if you guess, that might cause erasing later, and then you would have to go back and erase everything. So if I had my 1 in one of these, I could easily fill in which number that was. So that's not the case. So I move on to my number 2 because now I don't have my simple answer. So, and the reason I'm moving on is because when you look here, there's no 1, no 1, no 1. There's a 1 here. I guess realistically you could go this way. So you could say this line here, this whole line, cannot have another 1 anywhere in it. This whole line here cannot have another 1. So if you are, let's say now you're filling in this one. So when you look in this box, these 2 lines can't have 1s because they're already in these horizontal lines, which only leaves 1 remaining box. That is the answer, number 1. So now you can say, well, maybe you can find the answer to this box. So you look at the 1 and you follow the 1. And you take this and you follow the 1. And that leaves this spot and this spot. But you don't have another cross reference. See, this is the same box that you would need the 1 in to determine that one and this one. So we move on to the next number. Let's say we're going to do 2 now. We're going to look for 2s. So I examine my puzzle and I say, okay, this whole line cannot have a 2. This whole line cannot have a 2. And this whole line cannot have a 2, which only leaves this. It only leaves this spot for a 2. So that's how simple that is. We'll do it with this one. Okay, let's, that's one way of doing it. Following the lines. You just follow the lines. And another way you can do it, instead of going all the way across, you can, let's see, you find a box with the most numbers in it, right? So this has a lot. This only has 3 left. This has 3 left to get. Let's just look at this one. So you need the numbers 3, 4, and 6. So you can look across. So you look in this whole line, you cross-reference 3, 4, 6. Yes, this whole line already has a 3 and a 4. So we know that this spot here is a 6. Isn't that funny? So that means you just have to fill in 3 and 4, 3 and 4. Now you look at the line. This one already has a 4, so that has to be a 3. There's no question about it. So the only number left is a 4. So you could say, yep, that's a 4, but to verify, look, it just fills in. This could not have been a 3 because you have a 3 there. So that's another way to do it. And then another way, let's see, this is another easy puzzle. Let's look at this one. So you could simply just look at your line and say, okay, this whole horizontal line, the only numbers missing, let's see, 1, 2, so we're missing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're missing a 3 and an 8. But if you look at the surrounding box, right, there's already an 8 in this whole box. So this has to be a 3. In this one, there's already a 3 in this box. So this has to be an 8. So you can approach this from different ways on how to find your number. And then the same works with the vertical line. Okay, so we'll pick this one, the vertical line here, because you're only missing 2 numbers. So in this vertical line, you have 1, 2, you're missing 3 and 5. You're missing 3 and 5 in just this line of numbers. So every time you're looking for numbers, you see what's missing. All right, so 3 and 5, and then you cross-reference. You have to look at the surrounding lines. That line already has a 5 if you go the other way. So you know this cannot be a 5, so it has to be the 3. And then if that's the 3, well, guess what? That's a 5. And if you want to double check, that already has a 3 anyway. There's no way that could have been a 3. So that's the star up here indicates that this page is an easy page. So if I go to a medium page, it's the same thing. It works the very same way. So if you, let's see, let's start with our ones, okay? The harder the pages, so if you go back here, so this is a hard one. The harder the page, and I think there's even yet harder ones in this book. Yeah, there are. And there's also answer key in the back of my book. So if you go to the really hard ones, they have less numbers. So you do have to go through the numbers more extensively. Sometimes you get all the way to 7 before you find what you're looking for. So we'll try a medium puzzle and see how this works. So I start with my ones. Okay, what blocks? This one has a 1. This box has a 1. I like starting with boxes. You can start with your boxes, or you can start with your horizontal or vertical lines. So let's see, this needs a 1, that needs a 1. So these two have 1. So since these two have 1s next to each other and these two have 1s, guess what? We're going to know the answer to that one. Watch this. So this whole vertical line, right? So that's how you check it. You look at the lines. That whole line cannot be a 1. That whole line cannot be a 1. This whole line cannot be a 1. And this one cannot be a 1. So what's left? That spot. That spot is a 1. And you do it with all the numbers. You just cross, let's see. So that has a 2, a 2, a 2, 2. So every single box, every single horizontal, every single vertical has to have only one number, but each one consists of numbers 1 through 9. So it wouldn't matter if they were using symbols such as circles, squares, triangles, or if they were using figures like animals and they had different animals. It's the very same thing in every one. You just have to cross-reference every single line, the vertical, horizontal, and that will give you eventually your answers. So let me try 7s. So there's a 7, a 7, a 7, and a 7. Let's see what I can cross. So that has a 7, that has a 7, and that would leave this spot. Did you see what I did? I know I've got some markings here, but remember, we're looking for a number to fill. So this box has a lot of numbers missing, but I'm going to focus on my 7s. So, and that's because the surrounding boxes, like I just said, have 7s. So it's going to be easier to deduct which box gets the number. So that whole row cannot have a 7. That cannot have a 7. This row cannot have a 7, which only leaves this spot right here. That spot has to be the 7. Okay, so then let's go to the next level of difficulty. This is a 3-star. Did I just do a 3-star? I don't know if I did. I think I did 2-star. And remember, every star you go up in this particular book is a harder puzzle. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try it this way. We'll approach it by looking at the box and what number is needed. So this whole box needs the numbers 1, 2, 3, and oh, I'm sorry, it has a 3. It needs 1, 2, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 5, 6. So I look at this line, right? So I know that this line, this box here cannot be a 1 or a 2. It can only be a 5 or a 6. But I would also look at this one, and it has a 7, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so I can't figure that out now. So let me look at the next 1, 2, 5, or 6. 1, 2, 5, or 6. So this row here cannot be a 1 or a 5. So I'm still missing a 2 and a 6. Because when I look this way, so that one, I don't know the answer. Let's move to this one. 1, 2, 5, or 6 is what I'm looking for. So I know that this row can't be a 6. That needs too many numbers need answered. Let's look at this row. Remember, I'm still looking for the numbers in this box, 1, 2, 5, or 6. So when I cross-reference my vertical and horizontal, it cannot be a 5. It cannot be a 1 or a 2. So guess what? It has to be the 6. And then you start over. You can try that box again. It has to be a 1, 2, or 5. 1, 2, or 5. Well, because we already filled in the 6. So when you look here, this row cannot be a 1 or a 2. And we already have our 6, and we need a 5. So it has to be the 5. So this can only be a 1 or a 2, or a 1 or a 2. So look at your row. There's already a 1 in this row, so it has to be the 2. And if that has to be the 2, that has to be the 1. And that's all it is. It's just simple deduction. So you're not really adding anything. There is no math involved. Now I'm going to skip number 4. I'll just look at this really hard one. These take a lot more time because sometimes then you have to start thinking in your mind. You have to start analyzing and say, well, I really don't, doing cross references of my horizontal and vertical and what's already in the box doesn't always work because you just are lacking. Like this box, it has no numbers. That has no numbers. So this one is, this 5-star is going to take a lot more time to solve the puzzle. So you might be looking at more deductions and saying, well, when you cross-reference everything, you might have to look at 2 boxes at a time and say, well, if I put that number here and I put this number up here, well, those are going to clash. So that's not going to work. And yes, sometimes these take hours, the longer ones, unless you are the kind of person that has that special ability where things just pop out to you, and that is not me at all. I don't have that ability. Let's just try this game. Let's just try this really hard one and see. Sometimes the hard ones will give you an easy spot or 2 just to get you going, but it's finding that easy spot first. So let's see. This one has nothing. So it needs every number. We'll start with 1. So 1, 1. So that means this whole row, well, there's no 1. So I move on to my 2s. So I've got a 2, a 2, and a 2. So when I cross-reference that and that, that leaves 4 whole boxes that could be. I don't like that at all. Let's try it a different way. Let's pick on one that has, this only needs 4 numbers. So let's start with the 1 down here. Okay, there's absolutely nothing to reference to get me which box might be the 1. So I'll try the 2. Well, it already has a 2, 3, 4, so I'm looking at 5. How about 5s? Oh, look, the surrounding boxes have 5, so that means this whole row can't have a 5. And this whole row can't have a 5. And what does that do? If this whole row cannot be 5, and this whole row cannot be 5, that means this is the only box that can be a 5. And that's all you do. It's that simple. You just deductive reasoning. There is no adding or subtracting or any kind of math at all. It's just using your eyes, following the lines. Now, it's best not to actually draw your lines. If you have to, you can use something like markers. You can say, okay, this whole line here and this whole line here. You just kind of envision your lines. Or if you feel like you need to make lines, you can simply just erase them. Make sure you've got a good eraser if you need to draw lines. Or I do have a Sudoku app game. And the really cool thing about the app game is it actually highlights the numbers for you.